This is an oral history interview conducted for the Witness to War Serving a Nation project at Nauset Regional High School on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. For the sake of this interview, please state your full name and community in which you now reside.
David C. Hodsdon I, Dennis, Massachusetts.
How did you end up on Cape Cod?
My mother and father's fault. They moved here.
Were you born on Cape Cod?
My mother was born here. My father was out of New Hampshire. And they got together and had two boys, my brother William, myself, and one girl, Betty.
What was it like growing up on Cape Cod back then?
The greatest thing in the world, growing up on Cape Cod back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And then it started to change because of the population, which made things a lot different. So those first 30 years couldn't have been better any place in the world.
As a child, what was your understanding of war?
Ridiculous. Should never happen. Too many lives were lost, and too many people went where they didn't care to go. But being told what to do, we had to do it.
Why did you enlist in the military? Why did you enlist?
Because I was at the right age. And I was very happy to do what I had to do because I loved America.
How did your family react to your decision to enlist in the military?
Well, they were concerned because they weren't sure what was going to happen, because hard times could happen and nice times could happen. So you're just very lucky what did happen. And what did happen with me, I went in the Navy and went to Sampson, New York. That's where we started. And then we went from there to the Philippines. And while I was in training camp, I was voted the honor man out of 145 seamen, and the only votes that were against me were 3.
Why did you choose the Navy?
Living on Cape Cod, with the ocean around always around you, it has to be the Navy.
What was your experience at boot camp?
Boot camp? Well, just do what I was told to do, and that was nothing except always be honorable to your head ones, and I enjoyed them. I enjoyed the guys I was with. I helped a lot of them out. One guy was at a swimming place, and he was told to get up this 20-foot thing and jump into the water, and he wouldn't do it. So I climbed up the ladder, told him, I'll grab your hand and I'll jump in with you. So he gave me a hand and we both jumped in. When I come up out of the water, the whole place was clapping and screaming. It was really a very nice feeling.
What kind of friendships did you develop in the military?
What kind of friendships? Very good, very close to one another. And they would say, "What are you going to do?" And you tell them, and they say, "Oh, that's a good idea." So we do all kinds of stuff, but it was always right, clean, nothing bad.
Describe a typical day in the military.
Who was a typical guy?
A typical day.
Well, do as you're told, help others, and when you do that, the head honcho would say, "Good going, Dave," and I'd be very happy. Because I was helping all the time. I was being taught, but I was being helping too.
Describe an everyday meal in the service.
Food, nothing like home. But what we had to put up with, and we did.
What types of food did they serve?
Just about everything that you can think of in food. Offhand, I can't think of it, but it was just regular food.
What did you do in your free time in the service?
Well, going, having lessons on marching here, marching there, and doing, well, in gymnastics, doing what we're told, and asked to play baseball because it was the season. So we played baseball, and I helped a lot of them who never played ball before. I helped them, and that was more or less what was going on. Gymnastics was fun.
What were the conditions like where you served?
Conditions were very nice, and everyone would try and help one another out, which was nice. And one fellow was wetting the bed every night because he wanted to get kicked out of the service. So a bunch of us talked him out of it and said we'd be out in a year or so anyway, so he went along with it. So we were nice with everyone, and everyone was nice to us.
You described earlier that you joined in the Navy and you went into the Philippines. How was life different from home to different in the Philippines?
How was it different from home and being in the service?
Yes.
Well, in the service we were told what to do. When we were at home, we more or less did as we pleased. And we didn't mind, no problem.
Describe your favorite experience from your time serving.
Well, probably went on trips through the woods, marching and coming back, and do as we were told. We come to water, we go through the water, etc. That's about it.
What was your happiest memory in the service?
When I was retired from the service. That was the happiest moment. Really.
What was your darkest memory in the service?
Well, when you were going into the forest at night, when you were patrolling through there, to make sure that everything was going to be peaceful for the people to sleep and get off at about 7 o'clock in the morning. That was about it.
What was your scariest memory from the military?
Serious?
Scariest. Scariest? Nervous? Whatever memory made you the most scared?
Seeing some of the guys that weren't happy, and I'd talk to them and try to make them happy, and it usually happened because I knew how happy I was. I enjoyed doing what I was doing.
What was the hardest decision you had to make?
I don't think I had one hard decision to make. Everything went along the way it should. And I knew what was going to happen when I went in. So, no problem.
What was your daily routine like from the time you woke up to the time you went back to bed?
Out of bed, certain hour, breakfast, out on the field, marching, exercising. When we come back, lunch, and back into the fields, walking, marching, and back. And then after 4 o'clock, we could more or less do what we wanted, as long as we did it where we were. No, there was no problem in the service.
What position did you serve?
What part of the service?
Yes.
Philippines.
I mean, what rank level?
What?
What rank were you in?
What rank? Seaman first. Nothing. Because it wasn't in long enough. Let's just say a year.
How long did you go without talking to your family while you served?
Oh gosh. Not long. Maybe a month, something like that. Because I always would call on the phone, see how they were and so forth and so on. No problem.
Describe some of your responsibilities as the first seaman.
My responsibilities, well, when everyone was doing the service, we're told what to do, and we'd do it. And some of the guys that didn't do it were taken off to another section, period.
What were your surroundings like? Weather, landscape?
What was the what?
What was your surroundings like? The weather, the landscape?
Not bad. I never expected to have anything bad. It was always decent. You always had to have it in your mind that what you're going through, you have to do it and enjoy it. And I did, period.
You mentioned earlier that you used to call your family a lot. How did joining the military affect your relationship to home?
Well, they miss me, and the only way they get to me was by mail, because they couldn't call, and they couldn't come and visit because it's too far away. And oh wow, the only time I was real happy was when I was coming home. But I wasn't irritated with what I was going through, period.
What was going through your mind on the way to the Philippines?
Looking forward to it.
Were you nervous at all?
No. Nope.
Who in your family was in the military before you?
My brother. He went into the Navy also. Yeah.
Was he older than you?
Hmm.
Was he older than you?
3 years. Yeah.
Did he impact your decision on joining in the Navy?
Not really, because he was in Hawaii in the postal department. So, you know, he'd call once in a while. That's about all when I was at a certain place. But you wouldn't hear from him out in the Philippines.
What do you miss the most about serving?
What do I make the most about living?
What do you miss the most about serving in the military?
Not much. Whatever happened, what I had to do, I more or less expected it. So I just went along with it. Period.
When you came back from the military, how did you feel coming back home? Was it hard trying to
Tickled
get back?
to death. Happy as could be coming home, really. But I had no hard feelings towards the service because I knew I had to do it.
What was the first month like coming back home? Was it hard to adapt?
As I recall, I come right back from Hawaii or the Philippines, right to Boston, got the discharge, went right home. Bang.
What would your ideal rank would have been?
What was my idea of the
Rank. What would you have liked to have been in the Navy?
Well, I would say probably teaching of what they should do and what they shouldn't do, marching, and, you know, they needed help. They more or less helped.
How did your military experience change your life? How did your military experience change your life?
Not a bit. Not a bit.
If you were to go back in time to when you were serving, would you have done anything differently?
Not a thing. There was no problem. What happened, happened.
When you came back home, what was it like? Were there any relationships that you formed?
Well, I came back home. It was wonderful to be with the family, and I started playing my sports again.
You mentioned marching. How many miles would you have to march a day?
I really couldn't tell. Never got tired, but it was hard to say how many miles. Because 1 mile is quite a bit during the day anyways. By the time you get ready, the time you eat, and blah, 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 blah.
If your grandchild is considering going into the military, what advice would you give them from your experience?
Do as you're told. Really. Because you have to.
Can you describe that in detail?
Hmm?
Can you describe that in detail?
Well, when you get up out on the field at 8 o'clock in the morning, you do what everyone else is doing. Very simple. You do as you're told.
You mentioned playing sports. What sports did you play?
Just baseball out there. That's all.
Anything else? You said gymnastics?
Nope.
What was the baseball like?
It was good. It's a shame that a lot of guys didn't know what they were doing. That's hard to believe.
How do you feel about the people of the country you fought against?
Well, felt sorry for some of them and tried to help them out. And that's about it. You just try to help the guys that are in there.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
What did you do your first day back home?
I think I had a couple of Jim Beams and water.
How often do you think back to your wartime?
Well, the first few months, you would think it back and see one of your buddies once in a while. But you really don't, think about the last, what happened. You're just glad it's over.
What is one thing you took away from your time serving?
What was it, what?
One thing that you took away.
Took a ride. I don't know. I don't recall one thing I really cared for. I just went through the motions. I did as I was told.
How do you feel about the war now that you're back?
It's a shame. It should never ever have to happen. And I just hope that it doesn't get any worse of what's going on now.
How do you feel about the movies made about war?
How do I feel about the movies made about war? Well, if it's the truth, nothing you can do about it except accept it. Period.
Have you seen any movies that describe your time in the war? Or similar to your time in the war?
Right. It was good. I knew I had to do what I was told to do, and I just went ahead and did it. And I didn't mind doing it.
What was your reaction to the movies about war?
Well, you can see it, and I'm just glad you weren't back in it. And it's just a shame that it's happening again.
What's the first thing you think of when you hear the word World War II?
What was that?
What's the first thing you think of when you hear the word World War II?
Scary. It's very scary, because you really don't know what's going to happen. And that's a shame. So all you can do is God bless them, hope that things work out the way they should.
How did you stay so calm during your time?
No problem. And I just hope they leave Trump in, because he's a decent man.
When you came back home from the military, what was going through your mind? And was there anything that changed from before the military to afterwards?
No, nothing bothered me. I was asked a question or so. I just said I enjoyed doing what I had to do, and I just did it. And just nice to be home, because now I can go ahead and do as I please.
What did you do when you came back from the military?
Wood floors and sports.
What type of sports?
I started with baseball, ice hockey, softball, and that was it. Yeah. Oh, and basketball. Fun.
Did you decide to start a family?
Just enjoying myself. Because I didn't get married until I was 33. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life.
Who did you decide to marry?
My wife.
Can you tell her name?
Dorothy Assumpta Norris. She came from Newfoundland. And she was a redhead, so I had to be careful.
How did you meet her?
Through my sister, who was a nurse. And Deanne was a nurse, and she came down to Cape Cod Hospital and introduced me to her. And I wouldn't let her go.
After you got married and had kids, did you stay in contact with those friends you made while your time serving?
Oh yeah, once in a while the guys. No ladies. Seriously. So, we still stuck together. We still have. Yep.
Do you have any annual meetings? Do you have any annual meetings?
No. Nope, not now.
Would you ever join the military again if you could go back?
Nope. Nope.
Do you regret your time serving?
When I was in there, it was fine. I enjoyed it. Of course, I did as I was told. And I was very fortunate to have the way I lived. I enjoyed people. About the size of it.
Why did you move back to Cape Cod?
There's not a nicer place in the world than Cape Cod. But it's getting a little bit too heavy now. But I'm not going to move. Are you?
What do you love about Cape Cod?
The beaches and the people. They're very nice. I don't know of anyone that's a pain. We don't have much of this violence, that's compared to the rest of the country, which I'm very happy for. That's about it.
Are you satisfied with your time served?
Do I?
Are you satisfied with your time served?
Yeah. And I forgot to mention golf. I love that golf. And you have friends playing golf for a bunch of hot tickets. So you have fun. So, and I appreciate my relatives. Got some nice relatives.
Thank you for this interview. Thank you for this interview.
My pleasure.